utilization of the earth resources. When coming to the components of environmental management that are based on 5 fundamental aspects. First one is environmental protection and public awareness. Second one, environmental education and training. Third one is resource management. Fourth one is control environmental degradation and pollution. Last one is environmental impact assessment. This was discussed yesterday. Environmental perception and public awareness. Through the public awareness, we can conserve the natural resource, we can protect the nature, we promote environmental awareness with the public. And environmental education is a very important tool to aware the public that that is two types, formal and non-formal environmental education. In that, formal environmental education is different courses introduced to aware the environmental awareness at school level and university level, college level, different levels. Different governments are introducing the courses. For example, NPTEL established some short-term courses to aware the environment. Then trainings. Different research institutes are conducting the training resources related to the environmental pollution and that affects how the elements are affecting the nature. For example, in Hyderabad, Environmental Protection Research Training Institute is there in Gachibowli. They are conducting different analytical methods related to the water quality, air quality, soil health monitoring. These related course they are conducting to aware the students and different NGOs, different stakeholders. They are introduced and implementing the formal environmental education system in that institutions. Third one is the resource management. There are many resources we are having from the nature. How we are conserve for the future generation. How we are utilizing that resources. That is the we need to think before acting. Act. Control of environmental degradation. Environmental degradation process, we must know how we are impacting the nature. What is the pollution controlling agents, pollution causing agents, implementing the technologies to protect from the pollution. And next, environmental impact assessment. These are already we discussed yesterday about impact assessment. Different industries before establishing, we are conducting the impact assessment studies and submitting this report to the state and central governments before establishing the any industry or manufacturing unit at a state and central level. The next one is why environmental management is necessary. As strictly speaking, environmental management is necessary because nationally mandated requirement for nearly every type of business. In every business, environmental management is necessary study nowadays. Various national regulations regulates and limits the impact the businesses have on local environmental quality and public health. For example, manufacturing units, food processing units, chemical industries, paint industries, different cement industries. They set up some regulations and following the guidelines of the states, central boards, states and central governments regulations. The regulations, uh, authorized regulations, they are following to conserve the natural environment and to protect the environment by effective environmental management system. Essentially, environment management focused on air and water, soil quality, and different conservation methods on biodiversity and other ecosystem values, resources. So now, what is an ecosystem, environmental management system? An environmental management system is a framework that helps an organization to achieve its environmental goals through consistent review, evaluation, and improvement of its environmental performance. Environmental management should have environmental goals that consist to review, to evaluate, to improvement of the environment performance. This consistent review and evaluation will identify opportunities for improving and implementing the environmental performance of the organization. The EMS itself does not dedicate a level of environment performance that must be environmental management in within the system. Basic elements of an EMS. Reviewing the organization environmental goals. Every environmental management system we should review every year or quarterly or half yearly, depending on the regulations of the industry or the society or organization. Analyzing its environmental impact and legal requirements. What are the impacts of the environment on surrounding environment and legal requirements? The consents from the, uh, for example, consents from the state and central pollution control boards to set up that particular organization or industry need to required legal requirements from these organizations to set up the organization manufacturing unit. Setting environmental objectives and targets to reduce environmental impacts, comply with the liquidity. Before establishing, environmental objects should be established, and that we should um, made some targets to reduce the environmental impact on surrounding environment. For example, we need to set set some environmental objectives. Examples: conserve the natural resourcing of surrounding environment, to conserve the biodiversity of the locality, to water conservation strategies, and the pollution monitoring, control of the pollution of the air, controlling of the pollution of water, controlling of the pollution of soil, and waste management strategies should be set up before establishing this manufacturing unit as environmental impacts that complies with the legal requirements. Establishing programs to meet these objectives and targets must. Monitoring and measurement progress in achieving the objectives. Monitoring should be done depending on the achievement of the object. In every achievement of the goals, we should review or monitor and review the progress of the processing unit or industry or any other organization. Ensuring employees' environmental awareness and competence. We should train the employees uh, about the environmental awareness and competence. They should know about the environmental consequences pollution standards, how we are uh, how we are interacting with the nature, how we are conserving the natural resources, how we are utilizing the natural resource, how we are polluting the nature. These should be aware of the every employee in that particular organization. Reviewing progress of EMS and making improvements. Environmental management should review and improve some making improvements. And an environmental management system is a set of progress and practices that enable an organization to reduce its environmental impacts and increase its operating efficiency. And EMS helps an organization address its regulatory demands in a systematic and effective manner. The setup of process and practices that enable an organization to reduce its environmental impacts, increase its operating efficiency. This proactive approach can help to reduce the non-compliance and improve health and safety practices of for employees and the public. The next one is potential benefits with the EMS, environmental management system. Improved environmental performance. That performance should enhance the environmental performance by actions taken by the particular organization. Enhanced compliance. What we have set up before establishing the compliance that we need to reach. Pollution prevention. Pollution prevention, how we are dumping the waste, solid waste, for example, solid waste. We need to transport the different solid waste materials to concern the solid waste management plant. The authority should dump in their premises with the particular standards and releasing some effluents without maintaining the standards also. Resource conservation, mainly water conservation. Mm, Nearby industries should follow the conservation related to the soil and water and solid waste management. New customers and markets. With the environmental management planning, we have to reach the new customers and markets with these environmental performances. Increased efficiency and reduce the costs also. Enhanced employee morals by encouraging the employees by aware about the environmental management system. So enhance the morals of the every employee, increase the efficiency and reduce the costs. By effective management of environmental system, we can increase the efficiency and cost also cost reduction also very high. Enhanced image with the public and regulators, with the lenders and investors. The third particular image can improve the value of the regulators and investors in the public. Employee awareness of environmental issues. Different environmental issues we need to discuss with the employees. Every employee should aware about the environmental management system and environmental awareness should be know in the particular industry. ISO 14001 standard. This is most commonly used framework for an environmental management system. Is one developed by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO. For the ISO 14,001 standard is set up for the environmental management system. If we establish with this standard, we need to review, we need to review and monitor the standards of the particular uh, regulation. Established ISO established in 1996, this framework is an official international standard for an environmental management system. Different different agencies are privately uh, privately managing maintaining the environmental management quality strategies standards or third party reviews also they are doing. EMS, which is based on plan to check act and methodology. Strategies of an environmental management system. The five main strategies of EMS ISO defined by 14,001 standard. Commitment and policy planning, second one. Third one is implementation. Fourth one is evaluation. Fifth one is review. Commitment, what we are setting up to before the industry establishment and policies we need to follow in the environmental management system. Planning, we executed uh, planning before establishing and implementation. That particular planning, how we are implementing the status also we need to review. And evaluation. Evaluation must be done every year. Next one is commitment and policy. Top management commits to environmental improvement and establishes the organization's environmental policy. The policy is the foundation of the environmental management system. Planning, identification of environmental aspects of its operations. For example, air pollution, pollutants, and hazardous waste. These environmental aspect we should in the operating system we should monitor the pollutants levels and hazardous waste dumping levels also. And the determination of significant aspects, worker health and safety, environmental campaigns, and cost. These aspects, these significant aspects, we should monitor in the environmental management planning. Setting objectives and targets. About reduction of the usage of the chemical, diving an action plan for the targets also. Implementation. An organization follows through with the action plan using the necessary using the necessary resources, for example, human and financial. An important component is employee. Employee training and awareness for all employees about the environmental consequences and safety standards that reach the environmental management plan. And other steps in the implementation stage include documentation. If what what are the actions we have taken? We need to document everything in the organization. Following operating procedures and setting up internal and external communication lines. Evaluation. A company monitors its operations to evaluate whether targets are being met. If not, the company takes corrective action. Review. Top management reviews the results of the evaluation too. If CMS is working, EMS is working, management determines whether the original environmental policy consistent with the organi organization values. The plan is revised to optimize the effectiveness of the EMS. Next one is environmental impact assessment, EIA. EIA is a process which ensures all the environmental matters are taken into account quite early in the project at the planning process itself. It takes into consideration not only technical, economic, and considerations, but also traditional aspects like impact on local people and biodiversity. Biodiversity is the major role in the environment and ecosystem. Without biodiversity, we cannot live because we depend on this biodiversity for food, fuel, fodder. These aspects involve and associate with human being daily life and essential elements identification of possible positive and negative impacts of the projects in the we have to identify the possible negative or positive impacts of the particular project and quantifying impacts with the respect to the common base and preparation of mitigation plan for the offset negative impacts. Why EIA? EIA is indeed to prevent, minimize potentially adverse environmental impacts and enhance overall quality of a project. Informed decision making, improved project design, increased project acceptance, lower project cost in the long term, environmentally sensitive decisions, informed decision making, increased accountability and transparency of the project, reduce the environmental damage with the particular organization or the industry, reduce the environmental pollution, and improve the project design related to the environment management, improved integration of the projects into their environment. Next one is EIA should identify, describe, and assess the direct and indirect effects of a project on the following factors: human beings, flora, and fauna. About the human beings, flora and fauna. Flora is the flowering plant, fauna is the animals. Soil, soil health, water conservation and pollution, air pollution and air pollution conservation, air pure air quality for pure air quality, climate and the landscape. About the climate actions, status and landscape. About land use, material assets, cultural heritage, different religious people. mm, they protect some important plants. Interaction between all the above factors in EAA should identify, describe, and assess the direct and indirect effects related to the project and EAA clearance. Total EAA clearance is required for 32 categories of development works, broadly categorized into following industry sector. The first one is the mining, thermal power plant, river valley plants, river valley infrastructure of mainly roads, highways, ports, and harbors, airports. These are the main examples of infrastructures and industries, including very small electro-operating and foundry units, poultry units. Certain activities permissible under the Coastal Regulation Zone Act 1991 also required similar clearance for the uh, regulatory authorities. Summary: environment management can be considered all of the practices, policies, and procedures that a family undertakes in order to comply with local and federal environmental legislations. This means monitoring the releases of pollutants to air, water, waste streams, resulting environmental degradation. An environmental management system is a set of processes and practices that enable an organization to reduce its environmental impacts, increase its operating efficiency. Uh, Now we are going to discuss another topic, environmental management planning. Yes, yes. Environmental management planning. We are going to discuss about the environmental philosophies. Different philosophies are delivered with different different uh, persons in the effective society. Environmental law, sustainable development, environmental management practice. In the environmental planning practice, travel cost method and surrogate methods, contingency evaluation methods, and environmental impact statements. Environmental philosophies are two types, conservative and radical. The conservative, technocentrists and ecocentrists. In that, cornucopians, accommodators, and soft technologies and deep environmentalists. These are two types. In the cornucopians, in that developers categorized as developers, construction, industry, citizen, property rights, politicians, politicians. The accommodators are the planners, government officials, politicians, citizens, environmental consultants. These are acts as accommodators. And the environmental lobby, Greenpeace, and Sierra Club. These are the deep environmental societies, organizations. Environmental policy, the practice of local government planning, traditional environmental policy, emerging environmental policy is there. In the traditional environmental policy, national policy, emerging environmental policies, bottom up, decentralized and place-based. Traditional environmental policies, command and control, emerging environmental policies, command and convenient. Issues, traditional environmental policies, issue specific, and emerging is the holistic and ecosystem based specific based policy. Traditional environmental policy is the fragmented, and this is integrated and comprehensive, encourages international cooperation. Next one is environmental law. National Environmental Policy Act was enacted in 1969. In that, in environmental policy includes air, water, waste, nature, natural resources, and safety. Land use and environmental planning are another aspect. Travel cost method valuing the POPs. Distance or travel cost, consumer surplus, park fee, and park revenue. Contingent valuation method, the value of clear water. It is the example of Ojanaga. Next one. Next. Surrogate prices of environmental goods. Purchase bottled water 80%, and they were asked how much they spent weekly on bottled water. This information, the income information, were used to assess and calculate the percentage of household income spent on drinking water, and can be used as proxy of ability and willingness to pay for cleaner water. We are spending so much of money on the drinking water, fresh drinking water, cleaner water. The results shows that the percentage mean income spent on bottled water is 4.15%, and the medium is 3%. Using a 95% confidence interval, people spend between 3.12% and 5.18% of their income on bottled water. The summary statistics are the following. This is the method we calculate the surrogate price for a view. This is the echo div trade-off game. EIS methodology, checklist of impacts of positive, negative, and measuring magnitude, how much impact the project will have the environment, measuring importance, local based on the pollution and conservation strategies, and positive impact, negative impacts based on the local, regional, and uh, regional, and irreversible, etc. Now we are going to discuss about another topic is population dynamics. Population dynamics. Human population dynamics is a field that tracks factors related to changes in population such as fertility rate and life expectancy. Predicting population changes is important because these demographic trends impact economic, social, and environmental systems. Components of pollution dynamics: birth rate, death rate, total fertility rate, and migration. These four aspects, these four components of population dynamics. Birth rate. The birth rate is the total number of lives per thousand in a population in a year or period is called birth rate. Birth rate is usually given as the number of lives divided by the average population. Uh, Due to urbanization, industrialization, most of the people migrating from rural to urban area. Birth rate in India and world. India 19.3 births per thousand. The world 19 births per thousand. 2.64 births per year in India. In the world 131.4 million births per year. In India, 73,000 births per year, and compared to the world, 3,000 births per hour. and 36 360,000 births per day in the world. Determinations Determinants of high birth rates. What are the determinants? Early marriage lead to women starting to bear children at a younger age, resulting in a big family. Lack of public information on family planning. There is no awareness about the family planning in the rural areas, especially. Leads to ignorance of the benefits of a small family. Ignorance is the main factor in the uh, improving the uh, high birth rate. Performance for sons is prevalent, especially in developing countries. For such tradition are still important, as women have children until they give birth to sons, thereby giving rise to large families. Most of the uh, people looking for sons birth rate. Illiteracy among the people is also responsible for high birth rate, as they don't know how the preventive methods for the pregnancy. Early marriage also important factor in the women, and lack of the literacy. No, governments are taking some issues. For example, Telangana government introduced Kalyan Lakshmi for especially for women when they marry at uh, at 18 years, or they will get some benefit of cash, about 1 lakh rupees. Determinants of low birth rate. Increasing education level, especially women education is very low in the past before years. Now, women are very educated worldwide. They become career minded, therefore delay marriage and postpone marriages. Age also impacting the low birth rate and choice of more people to remain single. Most of the people would like to be a single, single like reading. Fecundity, the physical ability of a woman to reproduce, also decrease. An environment, unhealthy environment for having child, or unfavorable conditions at the time of the birth. More women go to school longer and enter the workplace, therefore delay their marriage, have children later. Death rate, the ratio of death to the population of a particular periods periods time, usually calculated as the number of death per thousand people per year. The number of death per unit, usually thousand of population in a given place and time. Death rate in India and world. In India, 7.3 death rate per thousand. In the world, 8 death per thousand. 97 lakh death per year in India. In the world, 55.3 million death per year. In India, 26.5 thousand per day. In the world, 15 lakh death per day. In India, 1,116 death per hour. In the world, it is 6,316 death per thousand. Determinants of high death rates. Insufficient nutrition, taking leads to the high death rates because nutrition values are very low in poor people. They are not taking the sufficient food. They are having a uh, single meal per day. A high incidence of infectious diseases. Different diseases are causing to low, high death rate, low birth rate. Drug addiction among the pregnant women. Different the drugs are taking by the women nowadays. In urbanization, many women taking different drugs. They are addicting with these drugs, and it leads to the high death rate in the women in the births. High birth rate among teenagers, since their body is not fully developed for having child. So there is always problem of how birth weight, which is most important factor in infant death. Infant deaths are occurring more in India, especially in the teenagers. Determinant of low death rate. The determination is increased food supply and distribution, better nutrition to pregnant women and infant. For example, Telangana government distributing the nutrition kits to the pregnant women and pregnant women. This will improve the nutrition supply to the mother or pregnant woman. Improvement in medical and public health, such as vaccination. Vaccination also improve the lower death, decrease the lower and mother child during pregnancy at time of birth respectively. Safe water supply. Fresh water is a precious present day. So safe drinking water supply is the main issue nowadays. The governments are taking measures to supply the water, drinking water supply. Proper family planning by awareing the people about the family planning to uh, family planning that can uh, control the birth rates also. And educated mother also they are not interested to uh, for more births. These are the graphs showing the low and high birth rates, birth and death rates. Total fertility rate, the number of children who would be born per woman if they were to pass through the childbearing years and bearing children according to current schedule of age specific fertility rate. General fertility rate means number of live births per thousand women between the age of 15 to 44 years. Total 44 years. Total fertility rate is 2 birth per woman, while in India 2.2 birth per woman. Determinants of high fertility rate. Motivation factor. Big family, big status in society. That is the main reason for the high fertility. And economic factor. Poverty leads illiteracy. For example, more children, more income required. Social factor. Joint family insecurity and joint occupation also leading to the high fertility rate. Early marriage also leading to high fertility rate. Performance to male child also important factor in high fertility rate. Determinants of low fertility is the Quality of life, how what quality of life we are leading is the impact on the low fertility. Education, education also leading to low fertility, illiteracy, and population education, and use of contraceptives and working parents also leads to low birth rate. Human population dynamics are the main factors related to changes in the population. Very important because demographic change impact environmental and social and environmental systems. Population growth. Now, we are going to discuss about the population growth. Growth models are exponential growth and logistics growth. Next one, the size of the population is a static parameter. Population keeps changing with time. Population changes depending on different factors. For example, food availability, predation, atmospheric pressure, adverse weather conditions. This leads to population changes. With these factors majorly influence the population changes. Population changes in a given habitat due to changes in four basic processes: natality, mortality, immigration, and immigration. Natality and immigration increase the density, population density. Mortality and immigration decrease the population density. Natality is refers to the number of births in the population during a given time. In a given time, how many births are occurring? Mortality is the how many deaths are occurring in a period of time in particular population. It's called mortality. Immigration. Immigration is the number of individuals of the population who left the habitat and gone elsewhere during the time of period. For example, different from India, so many people are uh, going to the different countries abroad, like USA, UK, Canada. This means immigration. And immigration, the number of immigrants, the same species have come into habitat for elsewhere during the time of period. For example, many tourists are coming to India and settling over a period of time. That is called immigration. Immigration in the population density have four factors: natality, mortality, immigration, and emigration. These are related to population. These four are related to the population density. By these equations, we can calculate the population density. Population density will increase if the number of births plus immigrants is more than the number of deaths plus immigrants. For instance, a new habitat is just being colonized. Immigration may contribute more significantly to population growth than birth rates. Growth models are to exponential and logistic growth. Exponential growth, resource, food and space availability is essential for growth of the population. Automatically, exponential growth also. Like when resources in the habitat are unlimited, each species has potential to grow in a number. Depending on the food resources, the community, the population will grow automatically. Observed by Darwin while developing his theory of natural selection, exponential growth developed by the Darwin scientist. When food and space are available, the population of species grows at exponential or geometric fashion. Darwin showed how even a slow-growing animal like elephant could reach an enormous number in the absence of chicks. This increase to decrease in during the unit time period. This is the equation used for the exponential growth. These are the examples of exponential growth. Paramecium, starting with just one individual and through binary fission doubling in number every day. Then imagine after 64 days, the population side, depending on the food and space, remain unlimited. They multiplied in numbers, in different numbers. Paramecium started with only single individual, then multiplied every day with a binary fission that implied 64 days of population because the availability of food and space. Logistic growth. Population growing in habitat with limited resources show initially one phase, lag phase, acceleration and declaration, and finally an asymptote are zero. These are the four types. A plot of in relation to time t results in a sigmoid curve. This curve shows the population density or exponential growth. No population, no population of any species in nature has its disposal unlimited resources to permit exponential growth. This lead to competition between the individuals for limited resources. Only the fittest individual will survive and reproduce. The governments of many countries have also released this fact, introduced various restraints, controls with a review limited human population growth. The size of the population of any species is not a static parameter. Population keeps changing with the frame. Studies better for environmental quality, the subsidy of an opportunity lost in the uh, terms of foregone revenue. The population changes depending on various factors: food availability, predation, atmospheric pressure, and adverse weather conditions. These four impact the population change. With the time is changing, the population keeps changing with these four factors. The population changes in a given habitat due to the changes in four basic processes. One is the mortality. Mortality is the birth rate. Mortality is the death rate. And emigration uh, and immigration. Mortality and immigration increases the population density. Mortality and immigration decreases the population density. Mortality refers to the number of births in the population during a given period. Mortality is the number of deaths in the population during a given period of time. Immigration is the number of individuals of the same species that have come into the habitat from elsewhere during the time period. Emigration is the who left the habitat, which immigration, which the individuals of the population who left the habitat and gone elsewhere during the time period. In the immigration process have come into the habitat from elsewhere during the period. During the period. This population density depending on the four factors: immigration, mortality, and emigration. These factors influence the population density. Population density will increase if the number of births plus immigration be plus I. Birth rate and immigration is more than number of death, deaths plus immigration. Death plus immigrants. For instance, if a new habitat is just being consolidated, colonized, immigration may contribute more significantly to population growth than birth rates. Growth models are two types, exponential and logistic. Exponential is the depending on the food sources they survive. Automatically, birth rates also increase. Resource depending on the resource availability, this is essential for growth of the population. When resources in the habitat are unlimited, exponential growth is high. Each species has potential to grow in a number with the resource in the in resource habitat in the particular environment. Observed this was observed by the Darwin while developing in his theory of natural selection. When food and space are available, the population of species grows in the grows in an exponential or geometric fashion. Darwin showed